up, you guys? James Owens here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I want to take you guys through my shoulder and arm workout. Generally I do shoulders and arms on my push days, but I have added a shoulder and arm day just so I can get more volume into my arms. I won't waste too much of you guys' time. I'll jump right into the video. It'll be more of a walkthrough, so I'll kind of talk you guys through specific exercises, why I do those movements in regards to like form, technique, intent. So I hope you guys enjoy the video, and I will catch you all after. Alright, so generally when it comes to training for me, I take the time to start off with obviously like one exercise that I'm going to choose to do my warm-up with. So that'll be the exercise that you'll see first. Then I focus on 2 to 3 compound movements. Since it's a shoulder and arms day, I do a lot of pressing movements for shoulders. I generally choose 2 to 3 of my favorite shoulder pressing movements, and I front load those compound lifts. And then towards the end of my workout, I do more accessory work, some unilateral movements, a lot of cable work and dumbbell work. So that's generally how this video will go. So first we'll start off with my warm-up movement. I chose to do the cable lateral raises. I like this machine because one, it keeps me in a fixed position and I can really practice on keeping my core engaged. As you can see, there's minimal movement in my lower and my upper body. I'm just thinking about raising my wrists to the sky. I'm not necessarily pulling with my hands or anything like that. I'm just focused on really just kind of warming up the shoulders, doing that lateral rotation of the shoulders to try to get it really warmed up before I move into my compound lifts. Nothing too crazy here, nothing too out of the ordinary from generally what I usually do. Just me really focusing on warming up those shoulder blades, that rotation up, nice controlled movement, not bouncing. You don't see my knees bending. You don't see me kind of, trying to throw the weight up. For me, the weight isn't heavy at all, but it's not too light either. It's a good workout. Obviously, I'm keeping my pump cover on. Try to get the shoulders and the whole body just really warm. You don't want to extend the arms too far up past the limit of the shoulder blade and then like overhead or anything like that. Just kind of make it so that you bring the weight up. Arms should be generally parallel with the ground or with the marching surface. You want to pull at the wrist is where I find I get the best contraction when I pull at the wrist. Or just think about bringing your shoulder to your ear. Moving on to my first compound movement, I decided to do the seated, plate stack shoulder press, whichever you want to call it. The form and the technique will be the same for a lot of the movements that you do. So as you can see, my chest is tad elevated. I don't have a dramatic arch or anything like that, but my chest is raised up, chest up high. I dug myself down into the seat and I planted my feet in a position to where they won't move, they won't raise up, I won't take a foot off the ground, anything like that. Generally, the eccentric, or when the weight is moving away from the tension, you refer to that as the eccentric. It's usually just like a 1 to 2 count. So if you see it at the top of the movement, it goes down 1, 2, I'm at the bottom, short pause, and then I explode up. So it's not an explosion up as if like, you're just trying to hurry up and get the weight off of you, but it's a controlled explosion. You want to contract the muscle as much as you can, control that weight, and it's the same thing just for multiple reps. Your first rep should look just like your last rep. Generally, if you start to break form, I would stop. Maybe give yourself 1 or 2 reps when the form starts to deteriorate. But if you go anything beyond that, you just increase your risk for injury. So control the weight, get a good workout in, get a good rep, and once that form starts to break, maybe give yourself like another 1 or 2 reps. Wring that rag out, get as much of it out as you can. And then stop and take your 1 to 2 minute break. All right, moving on to my next compound lift. So now you got the 80-degree incline press, just like the movement we were doing prior to. You want a nice controlled 1-2 count on the eccentric or on the down. Pause at the bottom and explode up. One thing that I decided to do on this was put the stoppers on the Smith machine. That way I don't have to necessarily put so much pressure on the outer rotation of my or the away rotation on my shoulder blades when the weight comes down. I can get it to a nice degree to where I feel that stretch. I can hold a nice pause there and then re-engage my delts and then push the weight off of me. This really helps with explosion, I think. You see a lot of people doing this type of technique with other movements like rack pulls and sometimes like floor bench press or floor presses. But I really like to do it on this Smith machine. The chest is slightly raised up, the core is engaged. I'm locking myself into the seat, and I'm really concentrating on pushing that weight away from me. One technique that I like to think about when I'm doing this, because you want to go beyond the pressing feeling, right? Naturally, you'll want to just press to where you kind of feel it in the clavicle area here or the upper chest. But I think you want to focus on going beyond that and really target those front delts. So what I like to do is I like to push my thumbs into the air. That's what I think about when I'm doing this movement. Even with my thumbs wrapped around the bar for safety purposes, of course, I want to think about pushing my thumbs as far up to the sky as I can. And then I control the weight down, nice 1-2 count, pause at the bottom for another 1-2 count, and then I do a controlled explosion on the concentric and really focus on targeting that front delt. If you've liked the content up until this point, please consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing. Your likes, comments, and subscribes helps my channel grow and then helps me get my content out there so more people can see it. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel, and please enjoy the rest of the video. So I decided to do 2 shoulder exercises just to kind of get some blood flow to the shoulders. And then I decided to move on to arms. So pretty much all of my arm workouts, I supersetted a bicep movement with the tricep movement. So my first bicep movement is the unilateral cable curl. It allows me to really feel it kind of in the tip right here of my bicep. Typically what I like to do is I like to lock that arm to my inside or to my abdomen here. I lock that elbow in tight. And then I literally just bend the elbow. You may see in my later reps, you may see my shoulder blades kind of rotate forward. I give myself maybe 1, 2, maybe even 3 of those reps. And then once that form is broken to where my shoulder blade isn't rotating, I stop. I take a break or I switch arms. But keeping that elbow kind of locked to your side, you want to take generally a step forward or maybe just slightly lean forward till the weight is pulling your arm back. You want that pull a little bit because you'll get that full stretch of the bicep versus the cable kind of hitting its full extension and you not being able to fully get that full stretch of the bicep. So make it so that you're in a position to where you do let the weight go back. It pulls at your bicep or it gives you a really good stretch, and then you really want to just squeeze that weight up. Bringing your forearm to your bicep, give a nice squeeze, and then letting that weight guide you back down. Like I mentioned, I supersetted this with a variation of a tricep press down. I didn't want to do too much of like switching the equipment, but I really like this workout, this exercise as well. So I like to kind of step away and lean into the weight a little bit. That slight lean for me takes that or unracks that weight for me. That way I don't have to like push down to unrack the weight or anything. I kind of step back and I put my weight on the cable, and that unracks the weight for me, well enough for me to really feel that stretch. So just like the bicep curl, we're doing a complete opposite. Well, we're keeping the same mindset here, but we're doing the opposite motion, right? So instead of the stretch being on the contraction of the bicep, the stretch for the tricep is going to be on the contraction of the bicep, and the actual movement that we're trying to contract the tricep is going to be pushing away from ourselves. So just thinking about pushing that weight down, my arm kind of comes back toward because I have my elbow pointed slightly outward. I didn't keep my elbow tucked in for this movement. Generally, I keep my elbow just slightly pointed a little bit outward, and then I really just focus on pressing down. As you can see, I do a short pause once the weight is pulling away from me, and I bring that forearm to my bicep. That's when you're really going to feel that stretch in that tricep. So really feel that stretch before pressing the weight down again. So after that first superset, I moved into my last superset where I did easy bar bicep curls and easy bar tricep press down. So as you can see for my easy bar bicep curls, it's pretty much similar to the unilateral movement that I did, but now it's bilateral. So I'm doing both arms at one time. So just like the same mindset with the unilateral movement, I keep those elbows kind of tucked to my side, and I have more of a flare in my hand positioning. So with my elbows kind of tucked to my side and my hands flared out a little bit more, I get a little bit more focus on the inside portion of this bicep here. So keeping the same idea, keeping the same methodology. I really focus on letting that weight pull away from itself, or letting that weight pull away from me. Really feeling it on the stretch, pause at the bottom of the rep for a couple of seconds, and then I explode up and really contract that bicep. I typically do a really big squeeze at the top. I don't like to hold it too long, but it's a nice controlled, contracted squeeze at the top, so I can get back down to the bottom of that rep again and really feel that pull. So keeping the same idea, keeping the same form and technique as the unilateral movement, but I'm doing it with two hands this time. So nothing too different from what I was doing before. Obviously, with us not having like back support or anything, we really want to focus on keeping that core tight and keeping ourselves in a fixed position. And then, like I said, I supersetted this with the Easy Bar tricep press downs. As you can see, just like the unilateral movement, I lean into the cable a little bit, and that unracks the weight for me. Keeping the same idea as the unilateral movement, I want to engage my core, keep myself fixed up and above the weight, and I really just want to focus on pressing my wrist and pressing my thumbs down into the ground. You can see some front rotation to my shoulder blades just a little bit. We want to refrain from too much of a rotation in the shoulders. Keep those shoulders in a fixed position. Really feel that stretch. Let the forearm raise up and touch that bicep. Pause for a short second, maybe two, and really explode and push the weight away from you. As I mentioned before, it's a controlled, explosive movement. You don't want to just kind of like throw the weight away from you. You really want to feel that contraction in the tricep. Pause for a little bit, really feel it in that horseshoe, and then guide the weight back up. Have that forearm touch the bicep, really feel that stretch, and then push it away from you. So that concludes my video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Hope you guys were able to take away something, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or experienced person who exercises and trains. If you did learn something, or if you did enjoy it, please consider leaving a like, a comment, and subscribing. And I will catch you guys in the next video.